Today is August the 6th, 2020. This is the Service Hero Show, 365 Days of Awesome. Celebrate success through service. My name is Tamara Hunter. I am your host, and this is the show where we tell inspiring stories of those that are inspiring others. So let's do this. Today we have a nominated service hero. Jon Kirwin is here with me and nominated by one of our other service heroes, someone that we highlighted not long ago, a very favorite of our show, of course, Deanna Marie. And she actually got a hold of me and said, you need to spend some time with Jon. You need to highlight what he's doing because he is actually helping so many. And then as I got a chance to visit with him and do some research, oh my goodness, it couldn't have been a better time than even right now for us to be visiting and highlighting and honoring today's service hero. He is making a difference. And in a way, everything that I've been talking about, like even in the morning where I've been talking about your superpower and your being that hero, the hero's journey. And he even had it in his paperwork and he had written it there that he was like Clark Kent. And I'm thinking, oh yes. And he's helping others to find their hero's journey and in a way that we all right now need to really be thinking about, and that is, how do we get through this period of time in the healthiest way possible? And that's what Jon is doing. He's helping those people to do exactly that. So you are truly a hero, and I'm so excited to have you with us today. Jon, welcome.
Thank you so much, Tamara. I appreciate it.
You are there in the greater Chicagoland area, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Are you outside right now?
I'm not, but I'm in my sun porch, so it's actually like one of my little, what do you call it? Well, Jen will actually say it's her zone, or her Zen zone, but I usually occupy it a lot more than she does.
Well, because I see some green back there, and I see, like the background there, and I'm thinking, okay, Chicagoland area, and August the 6th, and lately there's been a lot of storms in and out. How's the weather today?
It looks like there's a lot of overcast. So the good thing for me is that I'm indoors, because if I was outside trying to like even mow the lawn, I'd probably turn into a cherry without actually realizing I'm getting any sun.
I love it. Carol, one of our senior ambassadors from Chemo Buddies for Life, she's amazing. Thank you for putting the information out there in regards to the nonprofit for those people that are affected by cancer. And then we have one of our leaders within the volunteers, and a man that has his own nonprofit also and making a difference in nature. We have Stephen Smith with us. So glad you're here. And yes, he is in Sarasota, Florida, over there on the coast. So you're a self-professed IT nerd. I love it. You don't look like one, but I guess what would one look like? It's like I call myself a geek. You're calling yourself an IT nerd, and and I say that in the most fondest way because I love it when you're really using your mind and you're using your and your intellect and you're diving deep into something, and it kind of gets those little pet names. Yet there's been those shows that have made it really popular to be in that world, and and when I was reading your information, it was just so cute the way that you put things, that I'm an
Thank you.
IT nerd and that, I a bit of a Clark Kent and I'm thinking, oh, you are just right up my alley. This is great. So you come from that IT computer side and you were talking about it. And Carol, thank you for being the senior ambassador that you are, my dear. You are amazing. And we have another one of our senior ambassadors, Sherry McQueen. And just to let you know, John, they chat with each other because that's what they do. We're a community, okay, on the public side and within the private group. And Stephen is saying, thanks for the shout out. You're very welcome. Absolutely. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. We have Brandon with us. Brandon, hi. Good to see you here with this Service Heroes show. Love it. Hi. and so you are also, you are about, well, you've helped a few people when it comes to working out, and you're about that workout thing, right?
That's actually what that's called.
Yeah, I know. It's it's like, okay, yeah, think about the weights and the gym and everything, and right now, this period of time that we're in, where so many people have been closed up and such, you've helped over, you said like 100 people over, and I know you're not about the numbers so much, but still, let's just get perspective. You've helped a few people, wink, wink, on the body, right? And to be able to do it in a healthy way, and let's just talk the external right now, because when you are a trainer working with someone, you want to be thinking in terms of not injuring yourself, knowing, the muscle groups, finding out what their problems may be or what challenges they may have, and then being able to work a program around it, and so that they can maximize the results. Am I somewhat right in all of that?
Yeah, it's actually kind of funny because you call it actually a movable psychologist. You basically examine the person in terms of who they are, what's holding them back, and then really just basically like tailor your workout experience, your rapport, your relationship with them. You be very transparent about where they struggle so that we can focus on that. It's not about, here's a list of exercises, go ahead and do it, and I'll just watch you and take pictures and self-proclaim that I'm a good trainer. I'm all about actually encouraging them, pushing them a little bit, but then also holding back and being, resistant. But at the same time, I'm always celebrating every little success. I pay attention to like the fact of a nursing mom who wants to actually see her stomach again after she's had the most exciting experience of having 2 children. She's ready to actually feel very confident about her body anymore. And so she wants to basically feel stronger as a woman in that particular realm, whether it be carrying herself a little bit more, or being less self-conscious or whatever. Those are things that I actually drive on. But I'm also somebody who actually says to people as an honest perspective is, I'm going to love actually working out with you. I'm going to actually train you to actually create that muscle memory so that your body starts to actually tense up the right way. We're going to correct that form. But I'm going to be honest with you. If you want to see your abs, you really got to take care of what you're actually doing in terms of what you eat and what you place in your mind. Because if you can't get those 2 things fueled the right way, the body will not actually be able to show you. And that's one of the things that I actually said to people for the longest time is I just don't want to lie to you. I don't want to kid you. I don't want to waste your time. I want to basically work with you when you're ready, because I could make you do jumping jacks outside. And if you're taking care of yourself, you're going to see those results.
Right.
Hands down. Right. And that's something that I really do, because it's not about going into the gym and wasting, I shouldn't say wasting, but punishing yourself for over an hour at sometimes when you're actually working with a trainer. Because, Tamara, I'll be honest with you, if you're actually wanting to work out, think about this. You have 3 hours that you might dedicate to a trainer. And usually if you can afford that, most people only have like maybe 2 times with a trainer in a week. okay, let's say I'm actually really good at pumping you up, getting you excited, you feel really great and confident. And then what happens after those three sessions? You're now thinking of food, you're eating food, you're thinking of food, you're stressed out, you're basically like using coping mechanisms with those habits that you've ingrained. And all of a sudden you're chasing your fork in the gym, right?
Mm-hmm.
And as we get older, it becomes harder and harder to actually win that race. And as we've seen now, right, outside, not figuratively, but everybody is actually struggling with the internal habits that actually are really putting a strain on us. And then if we don't have that confidence to be able to feel good about who we are when we look in the mirror, and we associate that, I got to go into the gym, I got to work out harder. I have news for you. It's like, you know, when you have a healthy lifestyle, you can actually go and get a burger and fries and a Coke. But you have to understand that if you're going to try to use exercise to fight that off, that burger, fries, and a Coke, in 10 minutes, you can consume over 1,175 calories. If I had you conditioned enough, Tamara, which you might look like you're a runner, who knows, right? But if you had to run to burn that off, let's just say you're running 11.2 miles at 5 miles an hour. At 2 hours and 20 minutes, you finish that. You're only burning 1,168 calories. You're already you're already not losing that, or you're not winning that battle. So when I got into this position of really focusing on what's really important right now, because the obesogenic disorder in this country is over 70% and growing.
Right.
And I work in the healthcare industry, right?
Right.
So I'm exposed to why health premiums keep going up, because we're all high risk. We're a powder keg of bad habits, and we are being influenced by super ultra processed food that is blocking the ability for, and this is what things I'll actually say, and I'll let you continue. So I apologize. I'm like just going.
No, it's fascinating, and it's fun to listen to you, and you're right in target with what I was telling you. We've been really concentrating on within the close group of Chemo Buddies for Life. We lately have been very focused in on the fact that we need to be proactive, especially right now, always. But you know, however, with what's happening with us being many of us being kept indoors, or our lifestyle has changed, not maybe getting out as much as we were, and some habits, and we're going to talk about this in a few minutes, but some habits have possibly, some bad habits may have reappeared, some may have gotten worse, some may have just started. However, that can create even that much more of an issue for those people that already are struggling. And so, but go back to where, let's get back to where you are. And I do want to recognize we have Ruben is on station. Thank you for showing up, Ruben. And Carol is saying, being honest and authentic, like this, Jon. So see, they're listening to you. And that's why I knew they would be, because we've been talking so much about all of this, and transparency is always best. Jon, you are an inspiration for all of us to be that. And so you are painting the picture right now that if we, now again, we'll talk the body right now, and then we're going to go into the mind and the soul and all of this. The body right now, you eat you decide to go and do the fries and the hamburger and the Coke and all of that stuff, and yet then you are doing the work, you're working out, you're doing whatever you're doing. You may end up in a, you may end up where it's just a equal, okay, it's a wash. You may end up, if you're eating well and you're working out a lot, you may end up where you're going to have some loss. There's or the opposite. That's the numbers. That's the chemicals, the numbers, you're checking the weight, you're checking all of this, the muscle memory, all of that. Yet you were starting to talk about, and this is where why I believe you were really nominated as the service hero, is this holistic attitude that we really need to get to, and that's where you're really concentrating with people. And that is, if you have these issues, and we'll get deeper into it, if you have issues that you have unresolved, and then you want to go in there, are you masking them? Are you putting a Band-Aid on them? Are you maybe going to you're going to achieve something, but is it going to be a long term? And is it going to be a lifestyle? And so let's go into that, because that's really where you decided to start focusing, right?
Yeah, because I mean, it's like, when you have a diet mentality, you're basically like, how quickly can I get to a specific new place so that, right, or with the ellipsis, so that I can go back to my old self? Or how do I get to a specific date and time? So like if I have a wedding or an event and I want to look and feel the same way, so that I can basically end up being not able to fill the gaps with learning my lifestyle changes and learning the healthy habits that are necessary to keep it. Or what it transpires to, and we've seen this tremendously, especially because of the stress that's actually being put on people. Some people are actually losing their jobs. All these routines and regimens that they had, gone.
Right.
They're trying to circle the drain right now, and they're looking for an easy, less resistant path. And what is usually that? But diet mentality exhibits the helping you get rich quick ideology, which is actually creating a quitter's mindset, right? Yeah. So when you look at diets over time, and I don't want to get too much into diets because it's all around us. Let's just be honest. You were on a diet when you were actually born into this world because your family gave you the food that they actually could provide for you. You didn't have a choice. Okay. And as we got into college, we got the ability to actually fund our own meals. We got to actually do that, but we were exposed to so much other social interaction and peer pressure and all this other stuff that gave us the ability to give us these choices. But we already had habitual habits that were automatic, instinctual, or emotional. And even though we're trying to grow, we forget the most aspect of what we need to use to actually be able to have true change. And that's basically taking time and space between the emotional and the instinctual part of our brain, which automatically, the easiest thing to actually describe something that's like that falls into two of those categories. Mm-hmm. One, when we were growing up, our parents kept telling us to brush our teeth. Why? We were a kid. We didn't care. We didn't know what the purpose was, but we kept getting it ingrained in us every single day. And guess what? The brain said, okay, enough is enough. You're being too much present on this particular situation. I'm going to imprint it as a new habit. Now, as we get up in the morning, that's the first thing that we do. It could be all sorts of things that we've grown into. So when people actually want to change, they have to understand you can't change overnight. Right. Right? Yeah. I mean, I haven't met people that can do that. I've met people that can do it for a minute or for a few months, and then that is not conducive to their old lifestyle. And they will have too much space and time once they've reached their desired result without challenging themselves for that next step. They will go right back down. So like Tamara, this is the easiest way I've always described working with my clients. You know that roller coaster at Six Flags or whatever? And if you've never actually been on a roller coaster, the first thing is we're anxious. We're like super scared. We've never actually been on it. We're always thinking the worst case scenario in that particular event. We get into that roller coaster and it straps in that harness or whatever, that bar goes down to our waist, and we're worried that this is not going to hold us. But then all of a sudden the roller coaster actually gets connected by a chain, and that roller coaster starts actually climbing up that hill, just climbing slowly. So I picture our lifestyle that you want to change as these little micro habits as we get to the top, right? Mm-hmm. In a diet mentality, we get to the top, we get our goal, we get excited, and you know what we do? We actually use a celebration. Where do we celebrate? We don't start celebrating at the top. We start celebrating on the way down. That's why they take pictures of you, because they want to remember that you just had an open opportunity to actually change your life, but you decided to celebrate by going back to your bad habits. And our life is all about a roller coaster. And our body is actually a roller coaster. Our blood sugar goes up, our insulin goes up, our blood sugar goes down, our insulin starts to go down, our insulin starts to actually get creating resistance, and all of a sudden our sleep is screwed up, and then now we're not in fat burn anymore. So when I get a guy or a woman that's actually working out with me, I won't say this all in one little thing, but I take the time before I even actually take on a client. I go through a share call with them. I ask them these difficult questions, because if they're going to invest in their health, which a lot of people actually do invest in their health, but they sometimes, most people now are investing or not investing in their health or treating it as a bill. Later in life, they're actually now focusing on going to the doctor, getting on medication to maintain a lifestyle that is not maintainable.
Right.
And yet I work in the healthcare industry, and I've seen multiple people now through me and through the people that I've worked with to get off of medication, to give them that strength and that actual ability. And not only that, I mean, you guys are saying that you're actually in a lot of this cancer. There's a lot of people that are actually involved in cancer. And there's a proven fact that if you actually start focusing on the 6 major significant habits in your health, which is weight management, that's the easy one, right? We can always do that because that's what diets do. They get us to a point where we actually get the weight off.
Okay.
But the next one is basically learning how to eat and hydrate the right way again.
Right. Mm-hmm.
What's so funny about that? So Tamara, when you were younger, okay, when we were both younger, I'm going to use me as an analogy because you look younger than me. You look younger than me, so I'm going to actually say.
I like you a lot.
So when I was a baby, right, and my mother was nursing me, for whatever reason, she was told that she needed to nurse you every 2 to 3 hours. What's funny about this is statistically, through our habits of health system that we actually work with, it tells you to actually revert somebody back to that kind of lifestyle and regimen. We are so focused on so much speed and speed to message people, speed to be someplace. We're working way more hours that we are creating so much gap in between what our body was designed to do. And it's basically like a locomotive back in the day. We have to shove coal into that locomotive to keep it moving. And as we get older, our locomotive is actually crawling, right? And we are actually not de-aging. We are aging quicker. And now let's get real, because if we have those habits, then our family is probably having those trickled habits as well. And so here's the scary thing. I have a daughter who is going to be 8 years old in September. And the nice thing about that is I'm so happy to know that she is on board with healthy lifestyle. And the nice thing about that is that I know that when she comes into her parent, or, you know, that parent role, she has the habits to be able to help her kids survive. And I say that in the most passionate way for everybody that's on here. If you want to change your life, you need to start thinking about not just who you're changing it for. Right. A lot of people say it's very selfish. They actually want to do it for either you, or a lot of people actually take it as not in a selfish way. I'm telling you, you need to actually, like, if you're looking at these pictures right here, if I was struggling with, if my little daughter was struggling with her health, what do you think that I would actually feel like? Do you think I would actually be reaching out to her, trying to actually do whatever I can to actually help her change? But she refuses to change, right? Mm-hmm. You know how devastating that feels for me? I mean, I have this beautiful daughter that actually is struggling, and I can't do anything for her. Mm-hmm. Now, just hold that motion for a minute here. I'm sorry, I'm getting a little emotional, but like basically, if you start to think about how you feel about that person that's actually standing there struggling, and you ask yourself, why am I actually feeling that way about them and not giving that same feeling back to me? Right. A lot of us are just amazing people in terms of just going above and beyond to help other people. But if we can't help ourselves, we're not going to be as effective in that role. And it's going to frustrate us because we're going to be in that position where we don't have them actually looking at us. If we're after this healthy lifestyle, and this is why I'm so passionate about this, because if we want to change this country, we have to actually change ourselves, period. Absolutely. We have to disrupt this. And the only way we can do that.
Absolutely. And I want to get to this, and I want to continue in what you're thinking and what you're sharing here, because it's the lead by example. And and having a family and having those people within a community. Also, we were talking about this last night, and the idea of community and blue zones, and we were being taught about the that there are some the good news is that there are some communities that are going beyond the family. They're actually making community decisions to say, let's get healthy together, and this way we can maintain, we can do better. I mean, there's so many other things that come from health, the lack of it or the abundance of it, either of. Or Ruben is saying, I live in the Rio Grande Valley of Texas. They have the highest rate of diabetes in the country, very high rate of death due to COVID. How can I motivate these people to eat right and exercise? And
so, I mean, yeah, I can answer that question.
Yeah, go ahead.
So the first thing that you need to do is be in servitude. I'm a firm believer that, you're not. So there's this saying that I heard that, the trees that we have outside, the ones that you can see in the backyard or the back of me, or the ones that are out here, they weren't planted by us. They were planted by somebody else to give us shade. And sometimes you have to actually realize that you might not be the person that actually helps them, but you could be planting a seed for other people to actually water that plant and water that roots and basically cause that plant to be this beautiful redwood tree from California in Rio Grande or in Texas. Like that would be the most amazing thing, because people would be like, how did that get here? But the fact is that you started to plant that seed. So that's the first thing. The second thing is basically like being education, being an educator. The first thing is that one of the primary reasons why people actually struggle with their health is because they're not getting educated on it. They refuse to. Like, we go to school and we get taught from the physical side of things for maybe an hour, but it's all just based on fun and exercise. And I'm not saying anything's wrong with that programming, but what I'm saying is there's no emphasis on how to actually take care of your kids at an early age. Instead, we're filling our kids up with flour, ultra-processed food, tons of sugar, tons of salt, and it's actually creating these dopamine levels up here. And as soon as they actually get a taste of this, those dopamine levels are in a pleasure place of their brain that when they're actually having bad things like this, where our kids are actually deciding they can't even actually see their friends. Like Elena was crying a couple of days ago because she misses not being able to see her friends. And she wanted to get online for some Animal Crossing on Switch, which I thought was adorable. But we also, as parents, are just worried about the whole aspect of fear of who can actually be on there. But my point is, they're dealing with this. This is their reality. We're actually in a new place. This is not our reality. We weren't used to this, but we're actually trying to adapt at this. So, Ruben, what I would actually say is, the best way to actually handle this is to mirror what you want them to actually learn, right?
Right.
Be out there, be able to help people, go above and beyond. I'm a firm believer that if you live in an abundance mentality, you will actually be able to change the world, because it is the people who are the most successful are the people that chase other people's dreams and goals, not your own. There are too many selfish people out there. And that's probably one of those people that usually are the ones that are reaching out to us because they've worked so hard to get to where they want to be, and they've neglected the one thing that actually will give them the most enjoyment, which is the biggest investment in our world, is our health. If our longevity of the majority of our time is focused on working and school, and then once we actually finally retire, we have that freedom again, most people don't call it freedom anymore. They call it doomsday, right? I don't mean to say that, but my parents, my mom and my dad were basically like, my dad had irregular heartbeat, had some high blood pressure, high cholesterol. My mom had high blood pressure. And when I was given this opportunity to work with people, they were the first people on my scared list. Because you know me, I'm like basically the person that made all the mistakes in their life that caused them to actually pay so much and to invest in just getting me straight. And then basically now I'm asking them to invest even more, but at the same time, I'm asking them to invest in their own health. And now, as of today, my dad's no longer pre-diabetic. He has lower AC1 levels at 72 years old. My mom is no longer actually on blood pressure meds, so she doesn't have to actually have a water pill in her body that loses all the precious body water that keeps us actually healthy. All those things, right? Those are things that we actually can learn on this. And if you educate yourself accordingly, you can actually surround yourself with people like me or people that are in our community that are just as passionate as I. And because our company is actually global, or well, across the country, is the fact that we have a larger influence in regards to how to actually help people to get those things done. And so, Ruben, what I would actually say is maybe you can reach out to me, because there's a Habits for All, Habits of Health for All program that we actually focus on kids, we focus on the parents, we focus on communities. And that's something that's really passionate for me, because in Chicago, there's so much segregation in regards to the people who have it, the people that don't. And we have this dividing line, and I want to bridge that gap. When it comes down to health, it doesn't matter if you have a certain amount of money. It's basically everybody should have an equal opportunity to be able to have a healthy lifestyle. So that's why I don't judge people by, going out there and basically like, I'm the guy you need to actually be talking to. No, I'm not the guy that you need to be talking to. I'm the guy that's going to plant that seed. And if you are ready and you want to work with me, I will work with you side by side through that. And I think if you actually exhibit that behavior, you can make a huge impact in Texas. Everything's bigger in Texas.
I will say what I know of Ruben is that he was a SEAL, and I think he's got some discipline, but he's and so I think that's why he's out asking about how can when you're aware, especially anybody that's been through those kind of programs, when you're aware and you've been there and you've done that, and then how do you go out there and help to help others? And Carol's sharing right here, been there and done that, lost 50 pounds in 2017 to put it all back on from bad habits. And may I add that she just recently did share on the public side that because we started doing this time to move, hashtag time to move, and we are getting up and we're moving, we're getting unstuck. It's like too many people are just many have to stay in, and some are even being told they can only be out for a certain amount of time. We're talking throughout the world, and whatever it may be, you can still find that opportunity to move, to start going forward in our lives. And I will say congratulations to Carol, because she's committed to it, and she's starting to go back into now the healthy habits, getting taking it and doing it a little bit at a time. And she's been growing her own vegetables and such things, and preparing her food, and really on it. She went live sharing and showing, and and that, in my mind, Jon, goes along with it too, is when you have people that are saying, okay, been there and done that, my bad, however, today can be a new day. And then sharing that, because you were talking about this very thing, the authenticity of are you really ready? And that there's so many people that are out there with the before and after shots, but where is it that they're talking about the during? And people like Carol, like Ruben, like so many others that right now are saying, okay, I get you, Jon. I'm here. I'm hearing you. And how do we go about this and change and change the world? The United States, yes, and the world, because we can.
Right. I would say this. It's a proven fact that if you want to have the best accountability, you need to basically be related. And what better way to actually be related that you're struggling?
Yeah.
Last night I was actually on a call that was talking about food addiction, and it led to somebody actually talking about alcohol addiction, and how somebody reached out to them because they were vulnerable enough to talk about their story. So Carol, you've lost 50 pounds in 2017, and you're putting that back on, but you're actually trying to focus on healthy habits. What better way to have a support system by living your life out loud?
Mm-hmm.
Because
Mm-hmm.
there are going to be people like me who's going to be like all over you and pouring out love, doing that hard work, cheering you on, and
Mm-hmm.
letting you know that it's okay that you're not perfect.
Yeah.
Because weight loss is not like, is not like this, or it's not like this. It's all messy, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of people give up here,
Uh-huh.
but then there's all this other dips and dives through it. And it's okay, because if you're surrounding yourself with this like-minded community, you have a support system in place. One of the biggest things that I've actually seen that people struggle with the most in terms of change is because they don't have the right support system. And most people that actually want to change, the people that are actually around them, I call it the 5 degrees around change, not 6 degrees around bacon, but like five people that are actually in your life are either going to help you be supportive and get you to where you want to be, or they're going to be accomplices to your old self because they're not a part of that journey with you. So it's always good to not alienate yourself, but surround yourself with people that are actually like super influential, that you can use as like almost like following them by example. There's this thing that I've heard. It was actually interesting. It was called, or somebody sent something about success leaves clues, right? And things that actually are so funny about that is the fact that most of the people that are actually carrying the most out there are the ones that are leaving clues to actually help people. But then when they find those clues, they're waiting for them to actually be ready, and they're going to take their hand and they're going to take them on that track. And even though, Carol, you can't actually run right now, you have mentorship that's going to carry you until you believe in it, because they believe in you.
And okay, so so true, absolutely. And I will tell you that she's got so many people that believe in her because she believes in so many others, and that's what I love about the ability to right now be interacting truthfully through the internet. Thank goodness we have it right now in this time, this day and age, because you think about the last time they had one of these worldwide pandemics, they didn't have the internet, and so there was a little bit more challenging to be able to affect the people through, around the world. Snail mail is about probably what they had. And Ruben's saying here, Trans America will something you 1 year to lose weight. Oh, they give you 1 year to prove your health and reevaluate your rating for life insurance, but they will only give you credit for 50% of the weight loss because they expect you to gain half of that weight back. Wow.
So there's, yeah, I was going
Wow.
to say, there's so many people that are just betting on us to fail. Like, it's so funny because when you actually find something that's actually effective, the first thing that you actually see from people, especially people that care about you, they're usually the most critical. They become Sherlock Holmes to actually break the code or try to, discover that this is actually not something that you want to be involved in. And I'm a firm believer that if I really am trying to actually put myself out there, I didn't know what sector I was going to actually be involved in, but I'm so thankful that I was actually able to be exposed to what is really the most important thing, which is basically conquering our habits, becoming that dominant force in our life, being in control of that elephant that we can only guide so much, but that elephant will take off and actually like get us off the rails. It's so empowering to actually be around individuals that are actually from clinical physicians that actually are dealing with tired of seeing people fall off that waterfall and then trying to revive them at that worst case scenario because they have too much risk of obesogenic at their age. They decide to create programs that were actually associated with helping with the habits of health at the top of the waterfall so they can turn your canoe backwards and save your life, right? And so the thing that I love about this is the fact that there are going to be so many companies that are not going to reward you and pat you on the back for actually doing a good job. I mean, we've learned this very well. I learn this every day when I don't get a gold star from taking out the trash on time from Jen, right? So some of us actually need that assurance that we're doing something right.
I love that. She gets her gold star if you take it out on time, huh? I love.
Right, but we're not. But we're not perfect. Yeah.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly. And this is we showed your daughter. I want to show Jen here too, because there's a lot of pictures of the two of you and the three of you. And thoughts lead to feelings, feelings lead to actions, actions lead to results. And you know, I really want to commend you for sharing all of this and being so real and allowing for so many to be also real and encouraging that, because I do know that there are so many people that right now are sitting, and they could be sitting right now watching this, and they could be saying, oh, that sounds really good, but they might have the potato chips right there on the couch with them. You know, I'm sorry to be stereotypical, but I'm just trying to paint the picture that right now we're in a situation that a lot of people are so upside down, they're going back to even bad habits that maybe they got rid of a while ago, and they don't know where else to go, so they're going back that way. You're saying, okay, we don't have to go there. We can be authentic. You're there right this minute. That's okay. That's all right. We don't have to beat ourselves up for this moment, because like you were saying, you know, it's this kind of a thing, and we got to allow for that. And it's not only ourselves, but we're then helping to allow for it within our families and within our communities to say, okay, it doesn't have to be perfect. We just have to be conscious of it, and then be working towards being better. And the whole idea is the results. Okay, so we're going there in the steps, and realizing that maybe the way for us to do this in our bodies is we do need to really work on our hearts and our what's happening in our brains, and really get to that level to then say, okay, I'm there. I'm really engaged. I want to feel good. I want to feel good. So I'm not going to get disappointed in myself. I'm not going to worry about the back. If I take it back, I go backwards or any of that kind of stuff. I am going forward, and in making that decision with their heart and mind, saying, okay, I'm going to work on these things. I'm going to be real with them. I'm not going to put them under the carpet. Let's face it. Let's look at this. And this is a time right now where we can actually take the time and say, all right, instead of sitting there with on the couch with, you know, your potato chips and watching Netflix, nothing against Netflix, but, you know, why don't we work on ourselves and then start working and going forward and moving forward in our lives, right?
Mm-hmm. But I would actually just add to that. I would say that don't shoot so far and expect that you're going to land exactly where you want to be. There's this method of saying, hey, shoot for the stars, but if you land on the moon, that's not a failure. You can turn around and see how far you've grown. But here's the thing. What's stopping you from actually shooting for another goal, right?
Exactly.
People don't grow just from one specific goal. In fact, we in the fitness industry, we're always talking about little milestones here and there and here and there, right? It's all about how strong are you getting? Let's condition that. Let's not make that a fluke, right? Okay, so cool. You got a new personal record on how you can actually lift a little bit more, or you've been able to actually reduce your time on a specific workout. Awesome. Let's challenge yourself some more. Making anything that's actually the uncomfortable comfortable is where you're going to actually be. In fact, it's kind of funny, Tamara, I say this a lot. The word safe has a negative connotation when it comes to change. Because if you're safe, it's actually holding you back.
Right.
You need to be basically scared and in action. Fear is not a bad thing. In fact, it's funny because I tell people the only things that you should actually remove from your emotional vocabulary, or I call Rolodex, is shame, guilt, disappointment, anxiety, and feeling depressed, right? Okay. There's nothing wrong with the emotions that help us grow, which is joy, positivity, fear, being frustrated, right? Those things sometimes actually lead to our greatest strengths. In fact, I read this quote. It was so funny because it was like, in order to find your strength, you usually stumble on it when you are actually struggling.
Absolutely, 100%. I completely 100% agree with you completely. Um, and Sherry is sharing with Jen that about our support group, and I'm loving the interaction because Jen had said here, um, the power comes from the support of togetherness, and right now is a good time for us to be sharing this, and that's why I'm loving you being here with us right now, Jon, because and it's true. I know that in truth, I don't talk about this a lot, but I actually did work with a trainer for years, and before cancer, and I I did it because I knew my family history, I knew my different health challenges, and it was a personal decision because I knew that it would be something that would put energy going forward in a really good way for myself. And so, as you're talking about that, I'm thinking, yeah, if I wasn't shaking afterwards, because we went up in weights and my arms are like this, and I'm feeling a bit like jello. I was thinking that maybe I didn't have a good workout or something, it was like, and there was always that go to that next level, and it would always be so difficult when we were moving to the next level. And then when we get there, like you were talking at the top, it felt so awesome. Like, oh yes, I did it. And then it was like, okay, now what's next? And that's where I think that sometimes, and that's why I'm glad we're having this discussion, because I get that, because if you're not going for that next, then you are going to then, because especially if you're putting yourself into that kind of a discipline where it can be fearful. It's like, you want me to do what? And it's like, okay, will my body really pull it off? But there's that trust too. Okay, I trust that you believe that I can do this. So I will, if nothing else, I will believe in you, believing that I can, right? And then it's like, okay, I didn't know that that I would be able to do this, but now I know I can. And there is a lot of growth in that, and right now more than ever we need that kind of growth taking place, and that shaking and that fear. I think a lot of people understand the fear piece right now, but they're maybe not seeing the translation of how do I do this, because when sometimes fear can be almost to that block and stuck and feeling like they're in cement because they don't know what to do. So if someone's feeling that kind of fear and they're saying, wait a minute, Jon, I understand it in concept. I have the fear going on right now, but you're saying that fear can turn into something good. How do I do that? How do I get to that point where I can start feeling like Tamara was just explaining, you get to that top and then you're feeling good about it, and then do more and feel good about it. How do they find those answers right now?
Well, it goes back to what you were actually saying earlier about the fact that a lot of our changes that we actually have in life are based off cues. If you're not creating a cue and you're just following an example, then how are you actually supposed to be invested in that? One of the things that's so funny, I'll use this as an analogy because I just have all sorts of analogies.
I love it.
I wanted to throw a party back in the day when there was MySpace, and I thought, what better way to actually create an awesome party by just inviting all these people? Mm-hmm. Do you know what was funny? My friend's like, no, don't do that, because chances are you're not going to get anybody invested to come. There might be some people that show up, but unless you actually ask somebody to do something that they're invested into, that they will more than likely show up. So I had this crazy idea back in my 20s. I'm Irish, right? So it was Irish Spring, and I had an Irish Spring, party. And I said, everybody that comes over to my house actually gets an Irish Spring soap, but you need to bring something Irish over. And obviously people didn't get the fact that there's a lot more than just whiskey that you can actually bring to my party. But the thing was, the people brought the stuff, they showed up, they enjoyed themselves because they felt invested. So when you are doing something like this on your own, I just want you to oh, that's so funny that I have a shirt that says whiskey made me
Yeah, I was like, oh, that's why you have that shirt.
Yeah, well, I've changed that shirt to say eating healthy-ish, which is actually so much better. But anyway, my point is that, you know, when it comes to doing something that is very simple, it's just it's easy, but it's not simple. That's how I should say it. So it's so much more important that you lean onto somebody who is actually able to help. I call it sponsorship, right? They've been there. Yeah. Diving into a community like this is going to help somebody tremendously if they actually fully integrate into it. That's the choice of you. So that's where it comes back down to. So, you know, this whole wavy, like back and down and up and down. The thing that I've found is going to mindset, because here's what you have to actually understand. If you don't focus up here, everything down does not matter. It won't change. You have to change up here first. And this is what people don't realize. You'll have these thoughts that you want to change, right? But unless you actually do something simple, like we have a program and we actually ask people when they get the educational material, we tell them to open page 1. You know what it says? This journey is starting for who? And putting in their name. They've already had the action in their head. They've thought about it, but they didn't put any action into it. And so as soon as they write something down, our brain does not place that in the same position in the where your thought started. It puts it in the back of your head, which starts to build this subconsciously able of starting to build those new habits. Right. Now, how you build off of that? Action leads to execution. Mm-hmm. Execution comes from the behind thought, not the forward thought, right? So action actually comes from the thought that you have that you write down or you put in, that you start moving towards, right? The other thing that actually is really important is understanding that if you just give yourself 5 minutes when you are challenged, I know that sounds like a lot of time. It might even actually be shorter as you get better at this, but if you give yourself just enough time and space to give that disruption in the stimulus of our body triggering an actual emotion or triggering that instinct, and you give yourself just a pause, because you are the general. You are the general that our body needs. See, right now we have this chief officer here. Our body is our military. Our military is giving us the ability to serve us, right, to protect us. But our military is struggling right now, especially in this world, because, and I'm talking about our body, not in real life, but like basically it's so focused on fighting this battle for you, but it doesn't have a voice. And the voice that's actually giving them commands is the voice that's actually not being effective leader. The leader that can change all this is the community, which is you. You are the person that's actually witnessing your soldiers actually struggle. You're seeing these bad calls actually being made based on past things that are not able to change where you are right now. You need to take control. As political as it sounds, you need to vote another person in there, and that person should be you. If you're the one who wants to change the body and protect the body and the army, you need to become the general in charge. And it starts so easy. All you have to do is understand that no matter what choice you make, if it's bad or if it's good, it's better to actually make the choice yourself instead of letting it make the choice for you. There's a difference between you riding on a train and feeling like a passenger going nowhere, and then learning how to become less in the drama triangle where you feel like you're victimized by everything that's around you and all the circumstances, and instead change that triangle to over here where you're feeling empowered, you're challenging yourself, you're open-minded, you're learning from a open-minded set that something's coming at you or you're struggling with something. You're curious about why this is actually happening to me. And if there's people that are actually causing you stress, instead of actually taking on that stress, which we usually do, we actually notice that they're the one who's actually creating a lot of the stress, so we try to support them. That's called empowerment. And when you actually can do that in your life, in that body, you're immediately setting yourself free, because even though you're making these poor decisions, you are making them yourself, which is actually more powerful and more transformable over time because you become powerful enough to control the outcome, and you get to be that creator of your future self. I had this situation, Tamara, where I was actually sitting at a convention in Scottsdale, Arizona in February. And there was just so many people actually like just being so thankful for the people that actually cared about them that most, that were actually able to transform their lives in such an amazing way. And like doing the hard work is the key. But one of the things that was actually really interesting about that was I myself was struggling. I had this perception that I could actually take care of myself. I had perception that I was actually too good for some of that stuff that I was actually learning. And then when I realized that people that were up there were not perfect, and I realized they were so effective, I realized there's nothing wrong with actually being an imperfect progress, because that's the beauty of it. We have so much more relative to our community, to everywhere around the world. People are struggling with everything you can imagine they're struggling with. And then you are probably struggling with it as well in some sort of way. And when you have that commonality, you don't have to feel afraid to actually live your life out loud and say, Tamara, man, I'm seriously struggling right now. I have a food addiction because when I'm not on my ADHD medication, because my mind is all over the place, I use that to cope with the fact that I'm so stimulated by trying to manage my thoughts that I dive deep into a cereal bowl. You know what I would say to them? It's okay. You're worth this. You are basically a beautiful person, no matter if you have flaws or not. It's basically, you need to know that you need to give yourself the ability of self-care. You need to basically say to yourself, you know what, it's okay that I'm not perfect. And I go back to the person that was saying that they lost 50 pounds and they gained it back. It's okay. We have a journey that started when we were born. It didn't say that we ended it in 2017 and now we're on a different journey. We're on the same journey, baby. You know, it's like basically like moving into this movie. I have a 70, what was it? She started with me about 9 months ago. She was actually like 256 pounds. She was in her 70s. She's only 5'3", so she was very short. She was actually dealing with joint pain. She was dealing with all this stuff. And her daughter reached out to me saying, I want you to work with him instead of actually working with another commercialized program. Because I feel like he actually does the hard work. He's going to be basically able to guide you. Which was a lot of pressure for me because I love old people. And apparently Jen says I love them too much because I'm very catering to them instead of people that are right around me. But it's just one of those joys that I've had because my grandmother was just in servitude all her life. And I just realized that in my story, the way that I'm actually progressing this story by turning those pages constantly, I realize at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what I do as long as I'm impacting this world in the most positive way. That might mean that I actually get my legs skinned up. That might mean that I fail. That might mean that people are not going to like me all the time. That might not mean that, but I can then at the end of the day hear stories from people saying, I haven't been under 200 pounds in over 12 and a half years. And you gave that to me when I'm actually retired in this crisis. And you're giving me the opportunity to enjoy my rest of my retirement.
I love it. And I have these pictures up here because I wanted, before we end today, and we're almost at the top of the hour, but I wanted to show that, yes, you have the heart. And you know, I love the rose and the artwork here, and I'm not sure what the story is, but I just absolutely love this because it shows the one side of you when you're talking about the heart side, because that is the heart, the mind, the soul, the body, all the way around, the health and wellness, and that's the full picture, and that's what really is the whole message of why it is that you were nominated, because you are someone that knows what you're talking about. You are out there, you've been helping people, you know how to make a difference with them, and you've chosen to go and go deeper in helping them to deal with the fact that, you know, it is okay, and we're all in this together, and we can do the hard work. We can feel we can understand that each one of us has our weaknesses and our flaws, and we can appreciate each other for them. We don't have to judge each other, and we don't have to judge ourselves. And any kind of movement in the right direction is movement. And you're sharing that anything is possible. And that story you just told us about the woman in her 70s, and now she's less than 200, she's in a place now that I bet she's feeling a lot better, and during this period of time, and you've helped her to do that. That's huge right there. That's service hero right there. That story right there. I'm going to, we're at the top of the hour, but I'm not going to take this away from you. I want you to have a moment in time where you have a little inspirational thought, some kind of a nugget that you want to share. And then I'll bring myself back up, and then we'll close out the show. Okay.
So I just wanted to basically challenge you guys here. I am as real as it can be. I'm not perfect. I have my own flaws. Sometimes I don't know the right answer, but I've learned to actually listen. And I still struggle with that sometimes because I try to actually come up with the answer. It's just in me. I want to be a part of the solution, not part of the problem. But I want you to understand that everybody is actually willing. There are people that are willing to actually help you. But I want to tell you this. It doesn't matter if I help you or Tamara helps you. It's you helping yourself. And I challenge you that you have a story that is way more powerful than I could ever actually have. And you deserve to actually have people hear that. And if you're struggling with something, the best way to change is by being a beacon of hope for other people. I mean, I'm a person that actually gets, super emotional when I see people that are actually struggling and I can't do anything about it. And it drives me to actually be there for the people that are actually ready, because I can't change everybody. I apologize to those people in this group. If you got the impression that I could actually help you, there might not be that case, but I want you to understand that if I plant the seed to make you feel like you're capable of manifesting that thought process of change, there are going to be people that will flock into your world and actually help you with that. And it's so exciting to be able to see that you're in messy action, and then being able to see these little transformations, these non-scaled victories of more energy, better sleep, stronger mindset, more self-awareness, and surrounding yourself with people who are going to actually celebrate you instead of putting you down. Then I encourage you to actually seek that answer. Guys, I've been doing this for now 3 years in terms of really focusing on my own health and focusing on what's most important message that I can actually give you. And that message is that be imperfect and constantly be in progress. That's the answer. And be persistent. Don't worry about the outcome. Focus on just keep moving. You know how when we drive a car, the first thing that we actually do when we're driving the car, we tend to actually look in the rearview mirror. But a lot of us are just staring in the rearview mirror and basically not moving. You can't move forward if we don't see what's up ahead. So I want you to actually take the time and actually do something for me. I want you to actually write down what your future self would actually have a conversation with you now. The person that you desire to be, the person that is actually willing to talk to you, to give you those answers. What kind of conversation would you have with that person? And write that down. And then what I want you to do is I want you to actually take 5 minutes a day, and I want you to write down 5 things that you're grateful for. The first one's easy. I'm so grateful that I have another day to live. There are so many people that don't have that ability. There are so many people that have families that they're losing from this particular crisis. And I'm not even talking about COVID. I'm talking about the unhealthy pandemic that's actually in this country. And I want you to actually then ask yourself 5 other questions, which is basically, I am. I am what? Am I confident? Maybe I don't believe that right now, but I'm writing that down because I want to manifest that in my life. And I have a great friend of mine that actually has a great book called The New Rhythm Journal. And it makes it so simple. And I've seen so much transformation from that. But guys, I just want you to actually understand, just keep yourself in action. That's all that matters. If you can't do something from the outside, do something in the inside. Focus up here. Grow this. Inspire this. Educate this. Because when you do this, everything else from below will actually get in sync. It's all mental and physical lock-in when you actually want to change. Thank you very much.
Awesome. That is amazing. And you know, I love that. I love that I am, and then the 5 things that you're grateful for. And Jen actually was sharing that that was the Valentine yoga mats that you had. That was very cool. I love that. So thank you, Jon, for your words of wisdom and from the heart. And you just so real, so real. So I'm so grateful also to Deanna that she nominated you as the service hero that you are. So as we close today, August the 6th, 2020, the Service Hero Show, 365 Days of Awesome, celebrate success through service. Jon, we have definitely made the case you are a service hero. You have shared with us today. You have inspired us. You have educated us, and you have also shown us how it is that we can actually help ourselves to be the better selves of our lives, that we don't have to beat ourselves up, that we just need to be making some kind of movement, some whatever we can do, if it's even with our mind, if we can't make it outside. And we need to be aware that what we are doing right now is going to affect the next generations, that we can be those service heroes. And you are the one that educated us for that today. And in doing so, you will be helping not only our generation, but the generations to come. And that truly is a service hero. So thank you, Jon, for everything that you've done with us and for us today during the show.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. All right, everyone, it's Thursday. So in the close group, Chemo Buddies for Life, we have Thankful Thursday taking place, and our chat hosts are Carol and Sherry. So join us at 5 o'clock Pacific, 8 o'clock Eastern. If you don't know where we are, we're on the Chemo Buddies for Life page here on Facebook. You go to group, then you go to the Chemo Buddies for Life community, ask to join. We require 2 things. You understand that what takes place there stays there, and it is a safe place. We monitor it. We make sure that it is a place that we can be joining together and share humor, hope, heart, hugs, and a lot of love. All right, so we'll see you there tonight. Thank you so much, Jon.
It's a pleasure. I appreciate it, Tamara, and I love everything that you're doing. So that's why I was actually like, I guess you came into my life.
Well, you know what? You know, you're gonna have to just stick around. We're gonna invite you in and to the buddies too. I'd love to have you in there. All right, make it a great day, guys. Remember, time to move. Hashtag time to move. Let's see if we can make that go global before the next impactor is chosen for the 2nd season. Let's see how far it will go around the world and how many times. All right, talk to you later. Bye, guys.
Bye.